One of the things that I think is really interesting that we've been talking about in various different guises over the last few years, probably since the pandemic actually, when retail closed for the first time ever,
And second.
second time ever, and then how we were sort of waiting for things to go back to normal, if we even knew what that was, and then we sort of embraced the fact that maybe things had changed. But I think a lot of people probably feel that we haven't yet fully landed on what that new kind of like normal even looks like. If you think about kind of the UK, for example, and how some of our cities, our inner cities, have really changed in recent years, and some of our very, very local high streets are really flourishing. And it's sort of like, well, what's happening here? Because if you'd said to me 10 years ago that I would really love shopping in our local town, which is Market Harborough, I'd have raised an eyebrow and said, well, what's there for me to enjoy? Equally, if you'd said to me, you'll probably not even go to the likes of Birmingham or Nottingham city centre, which is somewhere I went all the time, I probably would have been equally really surprised to think how much that would have changed. But genuinely, something different is happening with retail.
Yeah. I mean, I think we actually did a keynote on this, didn't we, a few years ago? We called it the post-commute economy, and we made a bit of a bold prediction that actually most retailers in the main now have shops in the wrong locations because this sort of, this post-commute economy, as people are not travelling into the cities as much as they were, actually is having a material impact on, not only retail from a fashion point of view, but hospitality too is under a lot of pressure. But actually, I think it's a very real material change, and I think you used two good examples there, being where we are in Market Harborough, our biggest local city is Leicester. Having been to both of those in the last few weeks, there's a material difference to what's happening, and I wish I'd have taken some photographs actually. But if you look at Market Harborough, not a huge, just a decent market town, which has got affluent areas to it around the surrounding villages. But what we've seen come to our high street only over the last couple of years is what we've got now. We've got Space NK, Jigsaw,
Mint Velvet,
Joe Malone.
Yeah, and then on its way, we've been told there's Oliver Bonas
coming.
Hotel Chocolat. I think Sweaty Betty. There's been talk of Whistles. It's incredible. And this is a really small market town that I've known most of my life. All of a sudden, just
it's booming
on steroids.
But then you look at the big city surrounding that it's a really horrific story, isn't it? Because having been there, even the main shopping centre, which is called Highcross, there's so many shops closed and there's no newness, and actually it's quite not a very nice experience to shop that big town. So the impact is there, and I think the cycle is perhaps only just starting in terms of what that looks like.
Yes.
But I also think that, this whole Save the High Street campaigning is almost in the wrong place, because I think it is local, and we've talked about localism and we've talked about artisan and all of those things, but ultimately
it's crazy.
The writing's on the wall.
And I think if I was a retailer right now, I would be seeing huge opportunities in places like Market Harborough, where is there like a smaller edited format of what I sell? So Uniqlo are coming and just selling like a really edited range that changes seasonally. Some of the really big players, the department stores, we've said it before, but I just kind of think I want to say it louder, because I kind of feel like there is a huge opportunity. And then I think equally as a strategist, and I've always strategized around retail and as a destination, something wholesale needs to change in people's view of what an inner city high street landscape needs to look at and look like in the future, because what we don't want is for what's happening right now to keep spiralling, because as the likes of Market Harbour gets better,
Yeah.
you can guarantee we'll be going to Leicester less and less, and this will be being repeated far and wide.
Oh, I agree.
Not just in the UK but beyond. So how do you then level up your strategy for the inner city to make sure that people, that they do continue to thrive?
Yeah. Well, I think the other thing to add to that too, which I think is it's so evident, that when you look at big town and small town, you look at the service proposition and strategy in big town, and actually I don't believe there's anywhere near the amount of people that need to be on the shop floor in some of those bigger shops in the bigger towns. But also I think that you can see that there's underinvestment in the stores too. When we were in town a few weeks ago, I was pointing out quite frustratingly just how bad some of those stores looked and how tired they were, and just the maintenance point of view, and there's no colleagues in them anymore. But you look at the smaller high street, again using Market Harbour as an example, the stores are beautiful. They're all being refurbed, and you go in some, I know it's a different proposition, but you go in somewhere like White Company, and what is that store? It's like 1,500 square feet, and it's got like 6 people serving in the store, so something's right. So I think it's a whole flywheel of change that's happening, but I think there's a way to go. I actually like it. I think it's really nice.
Yeah, I get really excited about how localism is not just becoming kind of a trend that we sort of talk about nationally and hope one day.
It's very real.
It's really real, and I think it's, in my mind, it's just that duality of what happens then.
Yeah, what happens to the big main high street
well.
cities.
Yeah,
that's up for debate, isn't it?